Hi, Gig.
Hi, ladies. Hey,
Hey,
congratulations on your new film, Audrey.
Thank you.
thank you.
More of a congratulations being showcased at the upcoming South by Southwest Film Festival. I mean, that's one of the most prestigious events in the world. How do you folks feel about that?
We're pretty excited. We felt like it was the best one for the film. The audience would be the best audience for the film. So we're really thrilled that they did choose it. And it being a music and film festival, we're also really excited about just attending as attendees.
Yeah, that'll be fun. But yeah, it's so exciting and incredibly validating to like go to a festival like South by Southwest because I also think like yeah, it's the perfect fit. The film has so many of the qualities and characteristics that the festival has. Like it's a perfect alignment.
Most excellent. Well, let me throw the first question to Lou, right?
Yes, that
So
is my name.
where the original idea came from for this I want to call it a dark comedy.
Well, then it is a dark comedy. Whatever you want to call it, gig, let's call it that. Um, the initial idea came when I was just leaving film school, so a while ago. And at the time, it was really about the younger characters and how they were trying to navigate the world. It was kind of still a woman or a young girl who felt on the outside of everything. It didn't quite fit in. And then over time, the project's evolved, it's gone in and out of a drawer, it's met different people along the way and everything. But also, I evolved as a writer and got older and had a kid, and the parents started to appeal to me more, those characters, especially Ronnie. And I started to kind of relate to the some of the I say this when you see the film, obviously saying that I relate to her will be an interesting thing. Yeah. And then obviously when I met Natalie and the team, it kind of evolved into what it is now. But it was always that idea of like just somebody who was just, a little bit outside of society, a little bit removed, and just a woman who, I think is misunderstood, or misrepresented, or, used to be called unlikable back in the early 2000s. That's what would have called her. Now I just call her relatable. So yeah.
Natalie, tell us about being attracted to this Audrey project and how you want to approach something like this.
Mm. So this film, I met Lou at a speed dating night for writers and producers, which was which was a really great event. But Lou and I just met and immediately hit it off, and she pitched me a few projects. So I work as both a director and a producer, and Audrey was one of the projects at the time that she pitched, and I really loved it. So originally there was another director on board, and I was on board as a consultant and more of a producer. And then over time, that director became busy, and I luckily got to direct the film, which was great because I love the cat just came through. um, so I was really thrilled with that because I'd secretly hoped that that would be the case, that one day I'd get to direct this film. Um, and I really loved it. It felt like a sliding doors sort of film for me because I looked at the character, and I'd chosen not to have children, and I look at someone like Ronnie's journey and think, oh God, I would have really struggled to take a back seat and let my children have the front seat. Hence why I'm not a mother. But so that really appealed to me, and it being a dark comedy, I've been doing dark comedies for years, so it was a really easy fit. It's so within my wheelhouse that I went in with everything I suppose I know. There's other films I've been attached to for over the past decade or more, but this one was the one that I wanted to make my first feature. I was hoping that this would go through first, which it did.
And it did. Absolutely. Lou, tell us about the story process for Audrey because it could easily be, how can you say, divide into 3 easy chapters for all of us to understand, and how you develop the characters where they're all distinctively very different from each other.
Yeah, well, that's part of my process. So I tend to like start with like one of the protagonists and they kind of like come to me. So someone like Ronnie, and I start to kind of shape her as a character, and I start to really understand like what it is that she wants, you know, and then also what she needs. And that starts to kind of dictate the story. So I'll start to be like, well, then naturally she would, you know, if she's a faded soap star who's had some success, but then, you know, got pregnant and that kind of interrupted her rise, then she would be the sort of person that would put all of that into that child, you know, because that has to go somewhere. And then what are the natural consequences of that? And then I go back and look at every character from that kind of same want and need, you know, but they can't be the same. They've got to be kind of thematically aligned, but at the same time, they've got to be so distinct in what they want, because you want the audience to not just, you want them to find their person in the film. And for me, there's no small characters. So the amount of work that I say would do on Ronnie or Cormack or Norah or Audrey, I do on all of the characters. So even the little ones that, you know, they have their arc and everything. And that, because it's so important to me, because they're just all impacting on the main storyline going through. So that's how I do it. I draft a lot. Dialogue's really important to me, and that's also a way that I work out the characters. So I would actually say that often I will just sit there and just write out their dialogue, and that could just go for pages and pages and pages, and then I go back and I form the story from what it is that they're saying and doing. So it's not as conventional, I think, as like a traditional, I don't come at it from a structure point of view. I very much come at it from the characters dictate the story to me, you know, and I'm just the scribe that has the privilege of putting it together.
And that really appealed to me too. Lou's dialogue is fantastic. Every line is so rich, and as she says, every character is so full, is so 3-dimensional. So it's a breeze to direct.
Well, Natalie, tell us this, because dark comedies is very hard to direct in its own way. So how do you balance this out and make sure that, you know, Lou's vision comes out onto screen just as she intended?
You know, it's a really hard question to answer, because I think you've either naturally got the skill to do it or you don't. That sounds really rude, but I don't know. I don't know how I'd teach someone to do it. I've done it for so long that it's innate. I think the most important thing is to be honest about everything. It comes from an honest place. And if you make it come from an honest place, so the darkness and the comedy, the drama and the comedy are both coming from such honest places, then it will balance. Yes. That's probably the easiest way to put it.
Also, I stood right next to her the whole time. And...
So yeah, there is a real, I work with writers very closely. For me, I'm always going to protect their script and make sure it delivers the way it should. But yeah, it's balancing. The balance is just about being truthful. If you make it truthful, then because I suppose the risk is if you go, oh, this is a comedy scene, or this is this scene, this is this bit, that doesn't happen. You know, everyone's playing it from the heart, and therefore it'll come out honestly. Does that make sense?
Well, essentially, you're telling me that it's much more difficult than just pretending to be a tree with emotions or something like that, right?
Right.
I mean, like, let's not discount that. Well done.
The actors, I mean, obviously you have, if you've cast well, you've also got, you know, wonderful actors, which we did. We had a fantastic cast and they know how to balance it. So that takes away a lot of the difficulty in the process as well.
Yeah, and they just got it. I think that's the thing as well. Like with all of this, I think that dark comedy is such an alchemy. You know, so many things have to come together in order for it to work. So like, you know, when Natalie read the script, she's like, I get it. The next person reads the script, I get it. And so the rule of thumb was like, if someone read it and didn't get it, that kind of wasn't right, you know.
They're not right people.
You have to buy in to it. You have to buy into the tone. But it's all about the truth. The writing for me, everything those people say and do, it doesn't work unless it's truthful to them. Otherwise the audience won't go with you. And we asked them to go to some very interesting places in this film with our characters.
Well, then tell us about your lovely cast that you brought on board. I mean, the cast chemistry is one thing, but also the fact that you brought in a cast for an independent film. So that means that they're very dedicated to this project, in fact.
Yes, absolutely. So, like all casting processes, I think you push to go towards A-listers and they might attach and then their schedule gets busy, but then actually you find the right person for the role. And we were really lucky that we found Jackie Van Beek and Jeremy Lindsay Taylor, Hannah Divany, and oh God, I've just
Josephine Blazier.
Josephine Blazier, sorry, my brain just went. Because they're all fantastic. They're all so brilliant, and the chemistry is so wonderful. Jeremy, when he did his casting for it, he wanted it so much, and we could see it. He loved it. He nailed it the moment he did that, his audition.
He turned up a day early for the audition.
Did he? Hilarious.
Yes.
So they're all so wonderful. Everyone really loved the project and brought everything to it. So they lived those characters and could just be them innately, and they played well together, and that's what you could love. The support, some of them are newer than others. Some actors are newer than others. Jeremy and Jackie have been in the industry for such a long time, but they really supported the younger performers. And yeah, I think once you become they became a family. If you make sure behind the scenes that you become a family, then you'll become a family on set. We made sure that we rehearsed as a family made sure they even just sat down and had a dinner together just so that they could connect. Jeremy made dinner, I believe, for the family.
Yes, he did.
I can remember correctly.
Yes.
So
he made dinner.
Made dinner for everybody. So he'd had that process already of feeling what it felt like to be a real person with these people in character. Yeah. So that's it. There is a fantastic chemistry between them. I'm really lucky.
I found one character particularly fascinating. It's with Norah. Lou, could you tell us if the character Norah was always a disabled person in the film, and how did you end up casting Hannah? I want to say this may be her first time in a film, but I could be wrong.
Oh yes, in a film.
Yes, yes. But she has just done a series in Australia called Latecomers, which just won a bunch of awards, that she was in. But that was her first acting role, I think, and then her first film was with us. And Norah has been in this script for the longest. In fact, the initial concept was kind of very much based around her. She's always had CP in the scripts. And that was just, I always want the work that I create to reflect the world that I know and I see and I'm part of in that. And I've worked and produced with a lot of different sort of artists and stuff. So that was just a no-brainer for me. I was like, and also because she's the us in the family, Hannah thinks that she's me. So we had a lot of great conversations about that. And I think Natalie will talk more to kind of the casting process and everything. But I can say from a writer's point of view, it was always going to be whoever was right for the role, regardless of the level of disability that they had. That was just, it didn't matter. It was just, we were always going to adapt it. But that role was always written with that in mind. I also just really like the idea that in a family like this, we kind of flipped the narrative that she is not the child that gets the most attention, and stuff. But yeah, Natalie, casting.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, we searched for years. We really did. And,
Yes.
There was another actress with cerebral palsy who is too old, but it's so few. I think that was the only actress that was visible to us at the time, that was around the age. And then Hannah came through, had just burst through into the scene. She is an activist as well, so she's very known as an activist, She's a writer. She's now a published writer. So in the last few years, she's suddenly just, exploded onto the scene.
Yeah.
And yeah, luckily had just done this series. And so before it came out, we were managed to see get a sneak preview of it, and saw that from her performance that she was great in that, but also just her any interviews she's done online, we could see she had fantastic wit, and that is exactly what we needed, because it doesn't just take, as we know, it's a very special skill to be able to land comedy. So not only were we looking for someone with a disability to play Norah, but we also needed, and a right age group, but we also needed them to be able to land the great lines that Lou had written for her, and we found her. So that was fantastic.
Most excellent. Well, one last thing. The one of the scenes that scenes that are very memorable is, I want to say, the sex comedy scenes, and here in the United States, sex scenes is very hard to navigate, but then adding sex and comedy at the same time. How do you pull that off? I mean, production wise, that can't be easy.
No, but yes, it's. I mean, if everyone's just got to be, you've got to cast the people who are willing to, are okay with this. If you're not okay with this, it's going to be awkward. I think that's the most important thing. So, our casting director made sure that everyone had, said that they're very comfortable with this. And there's times when you do have to also be careful, because even though you've asked someone, are they comfortable beforehand, they might not be comfortable with it on the day. So we have coordinators. No, sorry, I forgot the term for it.
Intimacy coordinator.
Intimacy coordinator. We have intimacy coordinators with us to help us through that process as well. But you've got to make it, as you say, still make it funny. So, for Jeremy and Jackie playing Ronnie and Cormack, they just had spent a lot of time with each other. We talked about it. Lou, myself, Jackie, and Jeremy discussed it. Everyone discussed it before they went on set, so that it helped remove that awkwardness. They knew where the line was with each other and how far, they could push it.
Yeah, like Jeremy's subjected to a lot more than anyone else, I feel like.
Yes, yes.
But I think, like, what helps with the production aspect of it, and I'm talking from a writer's point of view, is also that understanding that all those scenes are really character revealing.
Mm.
They're not just there for the sake of a funny little sex romp in the middle of it. We're talking about characters that are looking to connect and feel seen and witnessed and all of those things. And so those scenes allow us to also show their transformation as a couple, as an individual, and what they want, and it's just, that really elevates it, I feel. And if we can do it in a really funny way, I think that, like, Natalie just nailed it. The actors nailed it. Even the dog in the first scene nailed it. So yeah, it was. I think I don't know. I get to sit back and watch them do it, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was really, like, one of my favorite moments, and I wanted to just remain on that shot, is the two shot of them, of Jackie and of Ronnie and Cormack in bed together with the kids yelling out in the background. And I wanted to just stay with that shot because it's a moment that all of us have experienced, who are adults. All of us have experienced of that awkwardness of sex. And I think that's what's brilliant about it as well, is there's awkwardness in sex, there's joy in sex. So it's lovely to show the real journey of it, not just the success of sex. So, not successful
strip
sex.
it of its vanity, strip it of its vanity, and make
strip
it
it of its vanity.
Yeah.
Oh, it's comedy at work. So hey, ladies, congratulations for Audrey once again. And I do have to comment that the dog was the best. If there are doggy awards out there, that dog deserves it. So
thank you so much, Gig.
No, thanks, Gig. Appreciate it.